Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Tampa-based Chamber's 2024 Military Appreciation Interview Series. Today, we want to welcome veteran Aaron Santosus, who is a member of our Chamber's Emerging Leaders Program. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you for having me, and said I really much appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. Let's start off with the basics. Tell us what branch of the military that you were in, what was your job, how long you served.
Absolutely. So I was in the Navy. I was in for 6 years, so one contract. Specifically, my what was called a rate was a nuclear machinist mate. My specific job was engineering laboratory technician. Pretty much what that was I started off with a 2 year training pipeline to then transition to the submarine fleet. To be a nuclear operator. Submarines are powered by nuclear power plants, and they need people to operate those power plants, and that was me. After a couple of years of doing that, I then became a supervisor in that same nuclear power plant. Went from kind of working with the mechanics and the machinery and the radioactivity measuring and chemistry that involves a nuclear power plant to more of a supervisory role of just kind of the operations of the power plant toward the end of my time in the military.
That is so different from anything we expected to hear. So how did you transition then from your military career to your civilian life, to your civilian career? And when did you do that? And what was it like for you?
Absolutely. So I transitioned in January of 2023 and moving into the civilian sector. I started off actually with a junior achievement of Tampa Bay as my first job when I first got out of the military. Wonderful place to work for. I love it. The nonprofit industry is amazing.
Uh-huh.
Following my time there, I actually then found an opportunity here at Duke Energy. I currently work at a power plant located on Wheaton Island in St. Petersburg as the
Okay.
procedures and training coordinator.
What would you say that what was a skill, a special skill that you had, or maybe a training that helped you most as you went from your military career to your civilian career?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I think applies to a lot of military personnel, and it's kind of a skill that we all have, was my job, like I said, was a rate. I was a machinist mate, engineering laboratory technician, but that wasn't the entirety of my job. We were very good at wearing a lot of different hats, is what I'll say. We have collateral duties, even though that was my job. I was in working with quality assurance. I was a quality assurance inspector. I worked kind of like on an employee relations team. I ran our fitness assessment program. I ran our training program. Various things were under our domain within our specific jobs in the military, and being able to adapt and overcome, and a lot of times with less, being on a submarine, we're underway for months at a time, not being really in touch with the outside world and having to work with that resiliency and that ability to adapt to whatever we do, learning by doing, not just by being taught, but being able to get thrown into a situation rapidly and then immediately adapt and overcome. That is probably, I think, the biggest thing that I have earned, and I think most military personnel earn while they're in and then bring into the civilian sector.
One of the things that we would love to achieve with these videos is to help transitioning service members with the process, right? When they see these videos, they hear from the different veterans and business owners as well. What would you tell yourself, like a year looking back, what would you tell yourself the year before you were going to transition out of your military career into your civilian job?
Absolutely. The biggest thing that I feel I could have used at the time to really understand what I was getting into. A lot of times, senior personnel in the military will tell you what they think is right, what they know. But the thing that they don't understand is they're still in the military. A lot of people, especially those like myself who are only in for 6 years, don't necessarily have the massive network that some of these more senior personnel have.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of knowledge within the military of what the outside world is like because nobody's outside yet. So you have to reach out to even people who have never been in the military but know how the civilian sector works, and especially your transitioned veterans, so you know what you're getting into and the right resources for you to be utilized in the time that you have. A year sometimes isn't a lot of time to actually
Mm-hmm.
capitalize on the resources available to you. You need to be able to reach out prior to that, even to ensure that you are maximizing the amount of time you have, the resources available to you, because some of those resources are also only available for that 1 year time frame that
That's right.
you need to utilize now, and it's a use or lose. You got to jump on it immediately. Um, that's probably the advice that I would give myself. Just make sure that you are listening to the right people
Mhm.
when you are transitioning out, and don't let people scare you into staying if you
Yeah.
don't feel like you need to stay in.
Would you say there's a specific group of transitioning service members that are harder, have a harder time preparing, and what are some of the ways that we could help mitigate that?
Absolutely. I do think it is kind of people who were in my shoes a little bit. A lot of times, these service members who separate, who have been in for their 20 years, they have their pension, they have all these VA benefits and things like that. And a lot of us do, but they kind of have that network. They had this time in the military to develop their skills. They obtain degrees. A lot of times, people such as myself, I left the military without a degree. I eventually got my bachelor's within 1 year of being separated, but that was just through pure grit and knowing that this is what I need. And not, I didn't know the resources available to me with the amount of time that I had. I was kind of one of the workhorses of my division and my team. So
Mhm.
you kind of just lose that time period. You need to make sure that you are, how do I say this? You need to make sure that you are maximizing everything that you have in the time that you have it, because you don't have the amount of time that these people have for 20 years and the resources available to you when you get out. It kind of feels a little bit more of a panic button for you
Yeah.
compared to some of these others who have been in for a long time. And I feel like we do often want to assist those who served a long time, and it's true, they've done a lot, they've given a lot to this country, they've given a lot to us, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to forget also those who did their first contract, didn't reenlist, and
Yeah.
did their timing and got out. They also need that help and that assistance, and they have a lot of value to bring, especially with their youth. A lot of times they're ready to jump right in and work as hard as the next guy. They were just the workhorse of their division or their team or their platoon. They're ready to go, and I feel like
Right.
they need to be maximized as well.
So how has the our Emerging Leaders of Tampa Bay program been part of your journey?
It's been awesome. What Emerging Leaders has done for me specifically, at least, it's you kind of, especially when you're in the military, you're in a box. You then come out as you're transitioning out of the military into the civilian sector, you're still in that box. You get out of the military, officially a civilian, but you're a veteran. You're still kind of in a box of this is kind of like your area of operation, how you work, and the things that are available to you. And you kind of stay boxed in within your job a lot of times. You just kind of stay in there. Emerging Leaders has shown me what else is out there, the networking that's available, the people, the various careers, the how often careers and positions blend in together, how soft skills just work in every single industry, in every single position, and what is available to you both in your career path but also the network around you, and how it all can kind of come together and not just be within your job or within your school. There's so many other ways that you could utilize your skills to help others, and how others are able to
Yeah.
utilize their skills to help you, and honestly just give back to the community at the same time. It's an awesome program.
Thank you again for making time for our
Absolutely.
military appreciation interview series, and thank you for your service in the United States Navy. We love having you as part of our series this year.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much.